I now have the distinct pleasure to introduce you to the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program experience, methodology, and the idea with you. And I hope you can use it or you can use some stages of it to design solutions to access to justice problems in your country. Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program, or simply KyivLEPP, is the international educational course of Ukrainian Access to Justice School of Practice. And it is aimed to solve the problem in the field of access to justice. And this course uses design thinking methodology and is aimed to develop people-centered solutions in access to justice. Actually, talking about Ukraine, where the idea was born, we have really strong competitive traditions in developing solutions in access to justice. I would say we inherited those traditions from the old Soviet practice of encouraging those who was the first to find the solution, often in designing solutions to social or legal problems on different levels, like national and local authorities. They promise fast solutions. And this approach, like the authorities are those who know better what exactly people need. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure that in different countries, some of this approach also was working or is working on different levels. And what I want to share today, that like our experience in KyivLEPP shows that actually the opposite way of developing solutions works better, to find a solution which put a human in the center. And KyivLEPP team rely on 4 main principles of seeking innovations to grasp the justice gap. Participatory survey of legal needs, and we strongly believe they are the key to find evidence-based solution. The second principle is the design thinking methodology, and it provides the idea of empathy for each solution. And also, we strongly believe that we need to pilot a model of the solution, how it would work with the colleagues' feedback, and it should go before piloting it in real time, in real situation. And also, each solution should go through the process of gathering beneficiaries' feedback, learning how the solution works, and adapting it. To fulfill these principles, KyivLEPP brings together teams from different countries to seek and to develop innovative solutions in access to justice. Each team takes its idea through the methodology of creating innovation, and this is design thinking methodology. Design thinking includes 5 iterations. It's empathize, it's defining the problem, ideating, prototyping, and testing. And empathy here is in solving the legal problem. It is the attempt to put yourself in the place of another person, the person to whom the problem concerns. It's a stage of target audience deep analysis. And the next stage is a definition of the problem. And usually on this stage, teams change their initial idea of the problem solution, focus it, and on the third stage, teams search for alternatives of solving the problem. It is interesting that the most weird ideas are accepted and passed through a precise verification during the next prototype stage. On the 4th stage, the team chooses one solution and set goals aligned with the SMART criteria. The final stage is crash test from other teams and from experts. After the course, team have support to the implementation of their idea. I mean, the teams who successfully passed this crash test, and to implement their ideas, teams work with a lead expert, and together they develop action plan and go through the process of gathering beneficiaries' feedback and learning how the solution works and adapting it. Teams of 2021 will be gathered by the topic of the role of non-lawyers in inclusive justice ecosystem and solving health and social problems caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to share with you some success stories, I would say, because in last year, 2 North Macedonian teams developed, one developed the model of mobile legal aid offices for remote communities, and the other developed this solution to prevent blocking social accounts. And also, team from Kenya developed the idea how to raise awareness of alternative dispute resolution strategies online. Also, we had Polish-Ukrainian team who designed the communication web platform for students, for teachers, and clients of legal clinics in both countries. And also we have the team from Kyrgyzstan who work on the sustainable development of paralegals network in their country. Well, I'm extremely glad to see almost all of the teams here today. Moreover, I can see Martin Hermatikov-Hill, expert who helped us to crash testing our teams last year. Thank you, and also joined today. I'm very glad to introduce our keynote speakers for this session. It's Vesna Shapkosky from Association for Legal Education and Transparency, LED Station, North Macedonia, and Anna Gudadze, lawyer, project coordinator at Rights Georgia NGO.
The presentation I'm going to give you in the next 10 minutes is one of the evidence of how important collaboration in the access to justice field is actually, how important it is to share ideas, to jointly develop them in order to make progress within our communities. The experience of the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program we have had the honor to have last year was a very useful step toward bringing more progress for the communities we work with. So during the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program, we developed the idea of a mobile office for paralegal aid. This idea actually came quite suddenly to our team. And at that point last year, we didn't even imagine how quickly it will develop into a very serious idea that will get a lot of support from our local partners, local authorities, NGOs, and also national and international donors. Let me just start with the problem behind the idea. So the legal and paralegal team of our association, apart from the communities in the town of Prilep, works closely with the rural communities from the Mariovo region, that is part of the municipality of Prilep, but also in the rural municipalities of Krivogashtani and Dolny. However, part of these areas are very remote, with very damaged or no road infrastructure at all. And that makes it very difficult for people to who live there to access to basic legal services. Our paralegals are struggling on a daily basis to provide basic services to these people, but for them is also very challenging since our office is located in the town of Prilep. Sometimes they have to go back and forth for more than 100 kilometers just to provide some of the basic rights of their beneficiaries. And this was the situation that was even worse during the pandemic. Our main concern was that we had to do something to bring the justice closer to these people. So the main idea for solution that we developed was to establish a mobile office for paralegal aid that will go from place to place in certain days of the week. And the office will be actually at different places in these municipalities that will be provided for free by the local self-government units for one day of the week. So this is the point where we planned on collaboration with the local self-government units. The idea was for the team to be consisted of at least one jurist and one paralegal that will provide the services directly to the people. So the main steps we took toward development of this idea was to conduct a survey of needs, to lobby for provisions of municipal spaces, then distribution of a promotional material, and then initiating the mobile office. First, in the period of February and March 2021, we conducted a survey of needs with 110 residents from the 3 municipalities. 54% of the citizens answered that they don't have any knowledge regarding the realization of their rights, and 32% answered that they have limited knowledge. 53% of the respondents said that they had faced once or rarely they weren't able to exercise their rights, and 30% had been very often in the position where they could not exercise their rights in their place of residence. 40% of them answered that they have only some of the institutions available in their place of residence, and 53% have to go to the nearest city all the time. This was enough of an evidence that the need of establishing of the mobile office is really present. It's not just an image in our heads. And then the next step was to lobby with the local municipalities for provision of municipal spaces. We held 3 separate meetings with the local self-governments of the 3 municipalities. We were positively surprised by the hospitality of the mayors. They welcomed the idea very positively. Maybe it was the timing of the meetings, because actually last week we had the local elections in our country. So and these meetings were held a few months before the local elections. So the mayors were very friendly and were very open to the idea to provide free spaces for the realization of this service. So we got 3 different places for the period of 4 months, from August until November 2021, which was the planned period for piloting the idea. The next step was to prepare a promotional material. On the image of the right, you can see the back. We printed with the schedule of the mobile office, which day we are going in certain place. And then we distributed the promotional material with the local residents and shared the information. And in August 2021, actually, we initiated a mobile office. These are different images from the different places. The first 2 images are from the village of Vitolište. It is part of the Mariovo region. It is around 50 kilometers away from the town of Prilep, with very bad road infrastructure. The image on the right is from the municipality of Krivogashtani, and in the second row, the images are from the municipality of Dolny. We are still to finish the piloting of the mobile office in the next 2 months, October and November, and then December is planned for evaluation of the results in order to have official confirmation of the success of the activity, and then the plan is from January to continue it as a regular activity on a weekly basis. The piloting period is not still over yet. I can tell formal results that since now, the first 2 months, we have more than 150 cases of legal and paralegal aid that we provided for these citizens. The information spread very quickly, actually, and we have not only people from the villages we are located in, but also from the neighborhood villages that know the days where we are in their nearest place and come to us and seek for advice. And we not only provide aid for the citizens, but also the local institutions that are settled in these places are also very keen to share information with us, to share problems. They also face a lot of problems in their daily work. because it's really not easy for these local institutions, especially in the smaller places, to conduct their everyday job. So since now it is a huge success. I said we initiated this idea quite naively. We didn't quite believe, but in a very short period of time, thanks to the collaboration and the very useful advices we got from our colleagues from the Ukrainian Access to Justice School of Practice, and thanks to Yevgen, whom we work on constantly, we developed a very successful idea that I believe will continue as a regular activity. So this is an example of how important the collaboration access to justice is on international level, and I really believe that this Club Justice will bring even more great ideas into practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm so glad to see all of you here. Really, and it was such a fantastic experience that I still remember, and this was by far one of the most fantastic organizing events that I've attended in my life, and thank you so much once again for all your efforts. And I'll be sharing my screen now. From this slide, the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program, which took place in Kyiv, it was in 2019, as we already mentioned, and here are some of the pictures from this program. And it was a really fabulous experience from the perspective of sharing the experiences from not only Ukraine, but also from the member states. We had several countries present in our program. And this was really interesting in terms of experience sharing and how can we actually tackle this issue, such as access to justice. And also we had some kind of challenges in our country. So I represent Georgia now. And even though from the perspective of the non-governmental organization, NGO, that we're trying our best to provide legal assistance to all the vulnerable groups in Georgia, still the challenges remain. And also specifically after COVID-19, we had so many challenges in this respect in terms of, access to justice. I mean, it was even much more challenging than previously. And then we had this kind of problems and issues with not only to access to fair trial and the justice, but also in terms of legal assistance. And because we had to work remotely, and this was quite challenging and quite tough. So let me just make this kind of overview of the key aspects of the project and my reflections that I remember from this project. So actually the key point and the key aspects from this program was to promote and support access to justice per se, and to getting familiar with the best practices of Ukraine. And I remember this kind of panel discussions, which was really interesting and helpful. And I took some of the ideas from Ukraine and the best practices that you have there. And also the experiences that we shared with each other from Moldova, I guess, and we had the members from Argentina, and everything was so interesting. And especially from our Soviet background, we share these same kind of challenges and problems even nowadays. So it was really interesting to share the experience in terms of how we actually tackle and cope with those challenges that we have in our countries nowadays. So it was really interesting and helpful for all of us, I guess, and the future activities. So one of the concepts of this whole program was how actually we implement the knowledge that we gained during this practical program, and how we use this knowledge in practice afterwards. And I would like to mention how I actually use this knowledge in my organization, and how we actually managed to put everything together, and how to make more efforts in order to let's say improve this legal assistance and access to justice in Georgia and overall. And before I mentioned these ongoing projects, when I came back from Kyiv, we launched a really interesting project, and we were providing activists in Georgia with legal assistance. And the whole idea of this project was to promote and protect them from persecution in Georgia, and to help them in terms of freedom of expression and so on. So this was one of the first projects that we launched as soon as I came back from Georgia. And then COVID came in, and the things got much challenging, and we had to tackle this new reality that COVID brought right after when we came back from Kyiv several months later. And then we launched the project, again relaunched the previous one, which was a Legal Aid Network for Activities, and which is supported by the Open Society Georgia Foundation. And this is really interesting and really important project, I would say, in terms of protection of activists in Georgia, because we still have the problems in terms of ensuring this safe environment for the activities, and also this fact that we face so many persecutions in Georgia. So basically, we're providing activists with this legal assistance, as I already mentioned. And the next one is assistance to foreigners in refoulement and non-refoulement proceedings, in a nutshell, from deportation proceedings. I manage this project, and this is supported by the German organization, which is called Brot für die Welt. And this is also very interesting because we actually wanted to expand our operation, and the whole idea of this project was to again ensure this access to justice, and also to provide with legal assistance the vulnerable groups in Georgia, because the citizens are much more privileged, I would say. At least they have citizenship, and they know the language, and they're in much more privileged positions compared to vulnerable groups in Georgia, and especially the migrants who are not legally present in our country. So the whole idea of this project is to provide them with legal assistance, and we're doing quite well, I would say, so far. And the next one is legal assistance to migrants in Georgia, which is supported by the International Organization for Migration, IOM. And I also manage this program, and we provide the migrants who are legally present in Georgia with legal assistance. And we provide them this consultations and the legal representation before the courts and administrative authorities when they need so. And again, the whole idea of this project is to ensure that the vulnerable groups in Georgia who do not speak language and who are living in Georgia, to provide them with legal assistance and to ensure that they have proper access to their rights. And there comes legal assistance to refugees and asylum seekers, which is supported by the UNHCR. And I also managed this project before I left for Vienna. And within this project, we provide legal assistance to refugees and asylum seekers who apply for asylum in Georgia. And I was also the part of this project when I attended the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program. And as soon as when I came back from Kyiv, we actually, let's say, expanded our operation. So the whole idea that I brought with me from Kyiv was that not to be focused only one region, but also to expand, to understand access to justice as a whole. So this was kind of inspiration when we expanded our operation beyond Tbilisi. So before that, we were actually providing the asylum seekers who were only present in Tbilisi with legal assistance, but then we expanded our operation and we covered the other cities of Georgia as well. So this was kind of inspiration that I brought with me from Kyiv. And this another project which is also very important for us, which is ensuring a fair trial for female victims of violence, and which is supported by the East West Management Institute. And we provide within this project the survivors of the domestic violence or in general other types of violence with legal assistance and legal representation before the courts and administrative authorities. And it's really important project for all of us, and the whole idea is to support the female survivors with the proper legal assistance and to make sure that they have access to rights and access to fair trial as well. So yeah. this is a really important project for us as well. And now I would like to mention briefly the possible street law project. And again, this was the inspiration from the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program. And I think Maria Tsipiashuk is also here. I would say that not only from the legal perspective, but also from the perspective of relationships, this program was a fantastic experience for me. And I still stay in touch with the vast majority of you, and those relationships are really dear to me. And so one of this dear experience of mine was the relationship with Maria Tsipiashuk. And when I came back from Kiev, I was invited to another meeting which was related to the legal clinics in Kiev. In the Ukraine, basically. So we had come up with this interesting idea to make kind of establish cooperation between the Georgian and the Ukrainian legal clinics. And the whole idea was liaison with the clinics and to help them and ensure the legal empowerment of the representatives of legal clinics in Georgia and Ukraine, and to share our best practices and experiences with each other, and to develop a guideline for the street law clinics as well. So this was a fabulous idea, and the main reason why it's still pending now, I would say, is that then COVID came in, and then I had to leave Georgia for Austria. But still, I really want to implement and make this project real as soon as I go back to Georgia. So I will be searching for all possible areas and the possible chances to actually implement this project. So this is not kind of past, but something which we need to plan for the future. And again, the whole inspiration of this project is the program, the Kyiv Legal Empowerment Practical Program. So this was briefly that I wanted to share with you, and thank you so much. If you have any reflections and questions, yeah, thank you.
Justice.